Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now, Captain Finance himself, Sully.
That's right. Captain Finance just flew in from his ivory tower, his, what is it, where Superman lives, that place. It's the Big Biz Show. The Loft 100 Studios. Sunny Southern California. Costa, Marybird Godwin, Greg Todoroff.
Good to have you along today.
And the Captain. How are you?
Good to see you.
Fortress of Solitude.
Let's get right to Howie Font, right from New York City, as you can see him in his sumptuous high tower there as the temperature is a balmy. I'm assuming 85 degrees there. Look at you got clouds in the sky. Howie, what's going on with inflation? I got to talk because we have inflation in the East. We just have high prices in the West.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
I think there's a little bit of reasoning that leads one to believe that inflation is coming back and it's coming from the East. So glad to be here. I want everyone to know the construction finally finished behind me, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. It looks good. I see a different skyline there. What do you mean by the inflation is coming from the East? Are we talking about the Middle East like Detroit? Or are we talking about the East like China?
I'm very cosmopolitan, Sully, so I'm talking like China.
Okay, very good. I was thinking it was like New Jersey.
Yeah, no. I mean, there are lots of problems in New Jersey, but I'm not going to speak to that on an esteemed show like this. You know, you have censors and things.
What's happening? So China's become they have made changes to heavily stimulate their economy, which is going to cause inflation in their economy because obviously stimulus causes high prices because you got too much. Every time you pump money into a system, whether it's the U.S., China, or anything else, interest rates follow. So is that's what we're thinking is going to happen here because of inflation?
Yeah, so they have so much more control over their economy, just the nature of their government. And so they're doing a bunch of big things all at the same time. I mean, lowering reserve requirements, which, as you know, lets banks kind of unleash more capital and get the money multiplier effect going. But lowering interest rates, the central bank there is doing a lot of buying, which stimulates the economy. But basically, they're doing this in response to deflation that their economy is having. So to fix their problems, they're going to push inflation on the rest of the world and themselves.
But we just got through inflation. We just got interest rates that get dropped by 0.5 percentage point. Remember, I don't want to hear anybody say it was dropped by 0.5 point ever in this. I will cut your finger off. I want a toe. I want something. It's not 0.5 point. It's 0.5 percentage point. We just cut interest rates, and we seem to be slaying that inflation dragon. Do you think it could come back because of things like what's going on in China?
Well, right. We've been talking about when rates are going to be cut for the first time ad nauseum all year because the Fed has been trying to calibrate exactly how much and when and playing this whole game. But now China just this week is dropping a level of stimulus that the whole world wasn't predicting, and you see it in the market this week. Equity investors are really excited about just this windfall of cash, but at what cost? You would think inflation would come back.
So at the end of the day, all the stimulus caused during COVID caused inflation in the first place, or is that a correct assumption or an incorrect assumption?
No. I think the stimulus during COVID increased the money supply by like 25% for every dollar.
I think the first stimulus was fine. I think the other three or another two were stupid. I mean, sure, it put us money in our pockets, but look what it did to the economy. I mean, look, yeah, you can have money for now, and they paid off credit cards, and people put money in the savings account, and now credit card debt rates are higher than ever. There's less money in savings, and we have inflation. So nobody will listen to that next time it happens, but that's exactly what's happening. Howie Font, thank you, buddy. We'll see you in a minute. Howard Font. You guys are painfully silent. What's going on?
No, it's just
nothing to add.
Still waking up.
I was painfully listening.
It was painful to listen to that, I will tell you that.
No, you just can't find another reason to love China. Bingo, right there, deflation.
China, the friendly city. I'm sorry, that's Bellflower.
Coal is king. listening. It is the Big Biz Show, emitting, transmitting from the Loft 100 studios here in beautiful, sunny Southern California. Thanks for being along for the ride as usual. Costa, Marybird Godwin, our executive producer is Greg Todorov, and right there, that man right there is Sully.
Just rifling through papers here.
What'd you find down there?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Stop, I feel like Cher. Oh, Sonny. Oh. Did he?
What's happening here?
Found it. Got it.
Yeah.
Show prepping. Something that you guys are not familiar with.
Did Sonny hit a tree skiing?
What's that?
Say it
Sonny
again?
Bono, did he hit a tree skiing?
Yes, he
Is that
did.
why he's no longer with us?
Sonny?
That's exactly right.
Busted spleen.
The tree won.
Busted spleen, yeah.
Not good.
Wow, really?
Not good.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Harbison at Claremont High School busted his spleen too. He's still with us though.
Really?
Yeah, didn't go be mayor. Wasn't mayor of Palm Springs though.
Okay.
Did you get that? Did you know that Sonny
Yeah.
Bono was mayor of Palm Springs?
Absolutely.
Could you imagine? And
Does Howie even know who Sonny Bono is? Let's
yeah, let's see. Hey, Howard Font, of
Guaranteed
course,
does
our
not.
chief
Does
analyst
not,
here.
right?
Howard, you know who Sonny Bono is?
Bono's a sunny person?
Do you know who Cher is? Do
Disposition? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, do you know Cher?
you know who Cher is? As in Sonny and Cher?
Cher, I do know.
Have you heard of the Beatles? Okay. Howie Font, of course, here. We were just talking about China causing inflation. And, you know, the Fed waited a ton of time before they started cutting interest rates. Some would say too long, but here's what you have to remember, and Howie, I want you to chime in on this. Remember when they said that inflation was transitory? Mm-hmm. They acted way too late in terms of dealing with inflation. Don't you think, Howie? Don't you think this thing, we've met the enemy and it is us, and us means the Fed?
Well, some of this is just what's good for China is not good for America, so they're going to do what's good for them, no problem. But some of this is totally the enemy is us. I mean, the timing is just loony when you think about it. I mean, we waited so long. We were measured. Things are stable. We did one cut. Europe's done two smaller cuts, but we're easing into it, and just everything at the wall in a day. I mean, it's really something else.
I think for us, you know, it gets a little dicey when you talk about inflation in the East could affect us right when we're at the freaking 5-yard line of inflation, or so it seems. Because remember, we shut this economy off like a light switch, and it came back together like a sunrise, a very slow sunrise, and to the point where not just a sunrise, but where inflation will be back down in the 2s here in the next 12 to 18 months. But you're still used to paying $3.80 for gas. You weren't paying $3.80 for gas pre-COVID.
And $12 for what's
And 12, right? And so who said the other day they were paying $48 for 2 Subway sandwiches? I think it was our Bond guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
And the problem is much like any sort of government tax, inflation, government tax, groceries and gas are like a tax. And a government tax. Speaking of government taxes that stuck around, do you know that you pay federal excise tax when you buy tires and other things? Do you know what federal excise tax means? Do you know what it was for?
World War II, right?
World War II.
Vulcanized rubber?
On rubber. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. You had to pay tax.
you know
Now,
that?
you still, if you buy a pair of tires, it says sales tax, federal excise tax, whatever, you know, environmental fee, and you're still paying that to this day. And that's sort of how they get you. Well, how they get you in inflation is, you know, when inflation goes down and prices still remain up, that's the scary stuff. Speaking of the options guy, real quick, Howie, future contracts, okay, puts and calls, are basically the right to buy a commodity in the future at a specific price. So let's talk about jet fuel. JP1A jet fuel fuels all the jets that we fly. There is a rack rate that is negotiated 6 months in advance. So whatever the gas prices are today, it doesn't really matter. The rate's negotiated. Take it from there, because these contracts are owned by hedge funds, and that's managed. Those are managed money professionals. There is a but there, because we can merge future contracts, which is a derivative, with short selling. Now remember what short selling is. You can't sell your house before you own it. You can't sell your car before you own it, but you can sell securities before you own them, and it's called short selling. You're basically borrowing the shares, selling them the same day, and hoping to buy them back at a cheaper price and keeping the difference when you give the shares back. Talk about that, Howie, because this is a scary thing for gas prices as well as for volatility in the market.
Well, it is interesting because, like you were saying about prices, we never see them come down. They tend to be sticky. So when I see a movement like this, and what you were describing is the basically if you put all the hedge funds in the U.S. together, they have a very large, a record-setting short on oil. So they're saying that the price of oil and natural gas is too high. That sounds amazing, but to me it means that there's some sort of volatility. There's something that they know is going to happen in the market that we're not pricing in.
And I think the piece of this is these guys are doing these fancy up in the air trades, and that's going to tell us a couple of things. But one thing it's going to tell us is that they're making money and we're not, right?
Well, they're definitely finding a way to make money. They are called hedge funds for a reason, though. We don't know about their positions, so they could actually be using it as a hedge, as kind of insurance in their portfolio.
You hedging this morning? You hedging this morning, Mike? You hedging?
No.
You hedging? You hedging this? Hedging that?
No.
Did you ever see Mike and Dave need wedding dates?
Yes.
And the gal acted like she was a hedge fund manager. What do you do? Well, I hedge.
I'm hedging, man.
I'm hedging. I hedged all morning. I've been hedging. I'm going to continue to hedge.
I'm more of a clincher in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Do we see any big traders that are in the wrong that are facing lawsuits for some of this abusive short selling? Because this is abusive short selling, and it's manipulation, and it's illegal.
Yeah, so not in this case, not for the oil trade, but I think Andrew Left. What's his firm? He's a very famous short seller.
Who is it? Wait, say again. What's his name?
Andrew Left.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He was originally with Fierro Brothers. I can't remember who he's with now, but yeah, he's a famous short seller. And by the way, here's the problem with short selling.
He's indicted right now.
Yeah, well, there's one problem.
Oh, that's a massive problem.
That's not a problem with short selling. But let me do some TV math.
Too.
Yes, that's exactly right. If you buy a stock for $100, I'm going to say the stock certificate for $100. Okay, you're going to give me $100. How much can you lose if you invest $100 in a stock?
$100.
Exactly right. If you bet against the stock now, okay? So let's say you sell it for 100, okay? And now you owe the shares back, and you're hoping the share goes down to $80, okay? So you could buy it back at 80,
And
keep
pocket
the 20.
the 20.
That's a good deal, right?
Sure.
What happens if the stock goes to 1,000? What happens if the stock goes to 1,000,000? You see how it's risky? If you borrow the shares at a certain price and those shares go up, you owe the difference.
Oh.
Do you see how that works? Now, what happens is these short sellers get in this type of trouble, and then they start doing fancy bookwork to try to get out of it. And that's how a lot of the felonious activity happens. Howard Font, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Howie Font,
Good to be here.
our chief analyst. So do you guys ever, have you ever heard of paper trading?
I think you've used the term.
I think the three of you should do it. I think everyone should do it.
Okay.
Here you go, Mary.
Thank you. I'll give you this one.
Hey, I'll trade you.
No.
You.
I got one more
That
for
is
you.
not paper trading.
How come no one's taking my
one
paper?
for you.
Trading.
There you go.
Listen, paper trading, very simply stated, paper trading very simply is look, we talk about individual stocks and selling stocks. Look, I will tell you less than 1% of my cash portfolio, in other words, liquid portfolio, I can cash out tomorrow, is done with day trading. Less than that.
Okay.
I like to play around a little bit.
Sure.
But it's, and it has nothing to do with the stock market, just as a rule. That was a grenade. Time lapse. Boom. I just want to say that it would be smart for you guys if you like a stock, okay? Find out why you like a stock. Go on an Excel spreadsheet or just take a piece of paper and say, this is the date. I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of this stock, and this is the shares I have. You don't have to just do it on paper. And follow and see what your reasoning is for doing it. And the reason I say that is, if you have a good reason to short a stock or to buy a stock, you should see if your philosophy works. But I think at the end of the day, you have to use fundamentals and you have to use technical analysis. There's three legs to the milking stool. It's who's in the lunchroom, the fundamentals, who's running the company, okay? What do the financials look like? It's the word on the street, and then you also have to look at sort of the trends, because you can't buy a stock at the bottom and you can't sell at the top ever. You have to buy it as it's trending up. Sell it as it's trending down, buy it as it's trending up. And the bottom line is that's how you're getting into the thing. But I think it would do all of us some good for you guys all to come back next week. Here's your homework. Pick a couple stocks.
Okay.
And I think we should just compare the way and the reason. And the only reason is because I want to find why people buy stocks. Berkshire Hathaway CEO, the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett says, buy in what you use. Okay, so for you, In-N-Out, Funyuns, Frito-Lay, Coca-Cola, and Coors.
Sure.
Okay, for you, I don't even know.
Body butter.
Starbucks.
For him, it's just Musk.
Jovan.
The hair gel thing.
Lululemon.
Lululemon?
Are they public?
Why?
I don't know, but they should.
Oh, they are.
Dutch
Yes,
Bros?
they are. Yeah, they
Dutch
are.
Bros
Would
public?
you have purchased stock in the stock symbol RUBO, Rubio's, back in the day?
Should have.
My wife bought Rubio when it first came out.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you still buy Rubio's fish tacos?
Do I still eat them?
No, I'm just saying, do you clearly invest?
Oh, no.
That's one thing. Oh, I'm going to invest in Rubio's. Fantastic. What do you think you were in New Jersey when you heard there was a fish taco? You think you jumped right into that?
Oh, my God. No.
West Coast did it, right?
West Coast. It is the Big Biz Show for the Loft 100 Studios in Southern California. As always, we appreciate you being along for this ride with this crazy crew. I'm Costa sitting here at the bar, sitting with me, Mary Burt Godwin, Roy Orbison, and of
look at
course,
you.
There
we go.
Hey.
That's right.
They're so cool looking.
Officially our Men in Black. No
Yeah,
rider.
Look at you guys.
No rider.
We didn't even coordinate
Listen,
this.
Right there, Sully.
Let me tell you something.
Yes, tell me.
Let me tell you something. I have messed around with these glasses so much. Of course, I am wearing the Vuzix glasses. Of course, Paul Travers will be with us in just a second. He is the CEO and president of Vuzix, NASDAQ symbol VUZI. There was a really interesting article that came out about Orion, which is a different company, and this impressive demo of AR glasses, and Mark Zuckerberg, and so on and so forth. And what's really interesting is you talk, and there's this big, huge swell of market need and want, and just totally validated the market.
Yeah.
Here's the bad news. In fact, I'll let Paul bring the bad news up.
Yeah.
Paul Travers, CEO. Paul, there is a big caveat here, isn't there, sir? With respect, and the reason I want to tease it like that is, Vuzix makes one of the most disruptive entrances into the AR space, and it fixes the problem of affordability and compatibility. How much are those Meta glasses that they're talking about, Paul?
You know, I really hate throwing.
Okay, I'll do it.
No, I don't mind actually. Look,
How about this? How much do they cost to make? How about that?
They cost $10,000 a pair to make, right?
No way. The Orions do?
Orion, $10,000 a pair.
Oh, I'll take two.
What?
You will retail for how much, sir?
That's right. The glasses that you have in your hands, Sully, they could be under 500. They could be $249.
This is, and the reason I'm bringing this up. Look, I love Apple products. Apple is a partner of a Big Biz Show and this studio, but I love Vuzix more.
Why?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, Paul has put in our hands, and I mean collectively our hands,
Right.
The ability here to have a teleprompter on a pair of glasses, to have a medical device on a pair of glasses, to interpret foreign language on a pair of glasses,
Right.
and he's bringing it to the masses. And I think, and I know that I'm doing broad strokes here, Paul. And I'm gonna let you take over here in a minute, but this is really significant in reading this article. And I saw this morning before you and I talked before the show, and it was, it's a fancy computer. That's great. Remember the first fancy calculator you got when you were in 5th grade? It was about $100, and now they cost about 19 cents. I'm going to let you take it away, Paul, because there is a significant difference. And what I want to point out, and I'm going to do everything I can because Paul's a friend of the program, that there is a better solution coming that has the same power, same compatibility, and more. Paul, take it away, sir.
In fairness to Meta here, this is a tour de force prototype that they built, and they have very unique optics that they built from the perspective they're built on silicon carbide materials for the lenses themselves. Super expensive. They don't yield well. I don't think Meta ever intended to bring this thing out as a product in the end. what they need, and even Mark says it is very difficult to make waveguides. The same things that they're trying to make out of silicon carbide, they will never go into production with that. To make a waveguide in volume is super hard, and Vuzix has developed all these processes, manufacturing facilities right here in Rochester, New York, and we can make a waveguide today every 6 seconds.
What is now, Paul? Just for folks that don't understand the jargon, what does a waveguide do, and what is it specifically to the glasses?
You guys have our glasses on right now, right? Mm-hmm. When you put them on, floating out in front of you, you see an image.
Yes, sir.
That's a function of language translation or closed captioning, or maybe a map with directions on how to get to where you're going. That image is able to get in front of your eyes through the use of a thing called a waveguide. The lens in the glasses, literally, it injects this display into that lens, that waveguide, bounces the light, boom, pushes it out in front of you in the simplest terms. It's just super flat wavelengths of light, really hard thing to manufacture. Most people use silicon processing equipment to make waveguides. Vuzix has developed our own technology here. We have a beautiful Class 1000 clean room here dedicated to making these waveguides, and we can make them in super high volumes and at price points that can enable the market.
Paul, is there a meta helicopter circling your campus or your buildings and stuff like that? How, are you worried about someone stealing your technology, stealing your,
Oh, you think the black helicopters outside because of the spies?
Well, yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Look, the reason why Quanta invested $20 million in Vuzix is because they're one of the largest ODM suppliers on the planet.
Okay.
For example, they manufacture the smartwatches, or have in the past, smartwatches for Apple, Chromebooks, NVIDIA AI servers. This company, Quanta, produces.
Yeah.
They are going to be one of the main suppliers of the world of smart glasses, but through vendors and customers like the Logitechs and the Ray-Bans and the, you name it, down the road. There'll be a lot of customers that buy because the ODM partner they're buying from is Quanta, who is sourcing the waveguides for their glasses from Vuzix. So we sit in the catbird seat. It's not just like we have one customer we're able to supply to through Quanta, and we have a few other ODMs that are working with Vuzix also. But the idea is we're sitting in a great spot.
Love it.
We have the ability to crank it up in volumes, and it's going to start and crank up to the business as big as a smartwatch, which is 300 million pairs of smartwatches a year that get sold today.
Wow.
Paul Travers, the CEO and president of Vuzix, their NASDAQ symbol is VUZI.
So let me ask you this. Let me tell you what I think the big problem is with a lot of businesses, and unlike you, is that most businesses, when they hit a $10 million sales figure, and I'm talking seriously, that's not very much in sales, they run out of cash because now they got more business than they've got money to actually produce. You guys have girded your loins in terms of production. How big can you guys go, do you think, in terms of order placement? Because you're going to capture a significant portion of that market, and then suddenly that cash treasure chest you guys have for the future here is going to start getting tapped. At that point, we hope that sales come in at the same time as we're tapping cash to create new product for all the orders potentially coming in.
I'm confident you'll see organic growth happen along the way here, Sully, but these partners need Vuzix to be successful that we have.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I will guarantee you that as Quanta's business accelerates, they're going to do all they can to support Vuzix so that we can deliver to the quantities that they need.
Paul, we got to get you back in studio here. We need you for a whole hour. We told you last time. We got to get your butt here.
Some samples.
Hey, listen, winter's coming. You're going to want to come this way.
Right.
100%. I always love getting off the plane in the middle of winter on the West Coast. For sure.
Thanks, buddy.
Paul Travers, the CEO and president of Vuzix, VUZI, their NASDAQ symbol. Go to Vuzix, VUZIX.com.
From magic glasses to Mike not snoring anymore.
Hey, now, look out.
Stand by. Can't help you with that, buddy.
the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. To our brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, as always, thank you for what you're doing for us. It's the Big Biz Show. Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
There you go. Great to have you along. We met Kirk Huntsman a few weeks ago. He is, of course, the CEO, pardon me, of Vivos Therapeutics, VVOS. It is an FDA-approved oral device appliance that helps with sleep apnea. OSA is what it's called, obstructive sleep apnea. And Mike raised his hand the second he heard that that mentioned.
I have started the process.
His wife started texting Mary and myself and Greg and the band. Say, do everything you can.
Help this
to get Michael
walrus.
into. So before we get to Kirk, did you go to the doctor yet? Have you made your appointment yet?
Yeah, I've been through the first round with the dentist, and
the dentist,
incredible woman who is helping Kirk with this as far as when you go in and getting your mouth measured and all this stuff. And so it's.
So what do they do when you went to your appointment?
They take these incredible 3D scans of your teeth and your throat and your jaw and all this stuff to make sure.
And I'll let Kirk say the same, but your throat is small and collapsed or something?
Pretty much, yeah, because of
like our throats fit a golf ball in it, and yours can fit like a penny in.
Pretty much, and so it doesn't help, and there's also lifestyle
changes
you? That have to go. No, that's not me.
Your hair color is different. But I give you Kirk Huntsman. Kirk, how are you, bud? This is fantastic, and I want to say thank you first of all for helping Mike out because
thank you so much.
He is important.
Hey,
he's important-ish to the program, but you're more important.
That's right.
So listen, lots of great stuff happening with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to help. And just the beginning of a good journey here. So we'll keep monitoring his progress throughout.
Real quickly, sleep apnea, as you have called it, is a silent epidemic. I want to talk about once again before we get to the press and all the good news about you guys. About the throat thing I just talked about. Mike is suffering from a couple, and how many millions of people you can address is suffering from the same thing worldwide. But it's something obstructive in their genetics or their physiology that causes that in some cases. Talk about that just a minute.
Yeah, there's sleep apnea comes in at least a couple of different forms. One is the obstructive sleep apnea version of this, and that's most likely what Mike has. Most people have that kind. It's obstructive sleep apnea. There's an impediment to the airway remaining open. If it closes, that's what's called an apnea event, and that's where it prevents the air from flowing during a normal respiration cycle. So, but there is another kind called central sleep apnea, which is more of a neurologically driven type thing. But yeah, most everybody, over 90% of people have this obstructive sleep apnea, which is a physical obstruction to the airway flowing and functioning properly. And our oral appliance devices have been shown and approved by, actually it's called, they're cleared by the FDA to treat this condition by literally sort of repositioning the tissues, making the airway bigger, and it stays. Once we do our magic here, it actually stays. And patients, it's typically a one and done procedure. It takes less than 12 months. Usually they wear it at night only. So when he does get his device, I don't think you have it yet, Mike, but when you do get it, when you do get it, you'll be able to come on the air, just like you are now, speak freely. And then usually after dinner at night, you put it in your mouth, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, put it away, and you 6 to 9 months of wear usually does it. Usually total treatment time about a year.
And for the record, my obstruction is a small canned ham, so I'm trying to get rid of that too in my throat. Kirk Huntsman, the CEO of Vivos Therapeutics, ticker symbol VVOS, and the website vivos.com.
Hey, Kirk, you were mentioning the physical part of this. Now, if somebody is could potentially someone who drinks a lot or overeats, do things like that affect it, or do you have it no matter what? Or if you lose weight or anything, do those kinds of things help or hinder the process and the progress?
That's a great question. So look, the physical obstruction can be anything. It can be. So you look like a fairly thin woman and all that sort of thing. There's a lot of females out there that are otherwise normal looking that have obstructive sleep apnea, just because of the way that your cranium, the way that your face has developed in your life. And so we treat a lot of people that do not fit the typical overweight male, middle-aged or older type person. In fact, menopausal women have a really high level of and I'm not saying you're menopausal yet.
Oh, she's only 20.
I did just have a hot
Years
flash
older
before
than-
this.
Yeah, well, anybody that has a narrow upper palate, anybody that has, so Asians, for example, whose craniums are they form a little bit differently than other races. They tend to be susceptible to higher levels of this condition because of the phenotype, the way that their heads basically form. And so there's a lot in the Asian community. There's a lot of obstructive sleep apnea. So the obstruction can arise from a number of different places, and it arises early in childhood, which is something we ought to talk about. It's not just an adult disease.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, does it start later in life? You mentioned menopause, but now you're saying that potentially kids could be afflicted with this.
Yeah, most people with OSA as adults had it as children and they didn't know it. And so it's something that's very rare that you grow out of it, and the condition just gets worse as we get older. But yeah, children. And one of the big news items for Vivos this last week, we announced a major FDA clearance for treating moderate to severe children ages 6 to 17 who also happen to have orthodontic or have a need for orthodontic treatment, which almost all of them do because their little mouths just they're not fully formed. They don't grow. They don't develop properly. The tongue doesn't rest up in the palate like it's supposed to. All those things contribute to OSA in children, which is it's like 1 out of 5 kids that has this condition in our society. And they struggle. They struggle academically. They wet the bed. They have ADD, ADHD. They have, in fact, some estimates are as high as half the kids with ADHD don't have ADHD because of some neurological problem. Or a mental thing. It's because they can't breathe. It's literally an airway issue for the millions of kids that are getting put on drugs and other things. It's really not a behavioral rooted problem. It's a sleep and breathing rooted problem.
Right.
Amazing.
Wow.
Hey, Kirk, let's talk about the press release. You had a pretty big press release come out here recently, and I want to have you feature that because between your path to being a market leader and between the disruptive technology, it even gets better. Talk about your press release.
Yeah, this was a major deal. This is a major news announcement because the traditional, so we got 1 out of 5 kids in society having this problem. All right, so just think about that in sheer numbers. So the question is, what is the medical community doing for these people today? They're removing their adenoids and their tonsils. Tonsillectomies, that's what's called an adenoidectomy. They're taking their tonsils and their adenoids out.
Wow. And
they're declaring victory. But most of those kids see relapse after just 6 months. And so there's a lot of controversy in the community about whether, how good this really is. Is it necessary? Is watchful waiting a better option? Well, along comes Vivos now with the FDA clearance and says, hey, wait a minute. Parents, before you go and subject your child to a really painful and potentially risky operation, maybe we ought to consider an oral appliance therapy that's safe and effective to eliminate this condition and prepare that child to breathe well throughout their life.
Sure.
Affordable, reimbursed by insurance, now approved by FDA. I mean, there's just really, it's a whole new day for parents with children that are experiencing these conditions, and now they have a brand new option. So this is a huge announcement for Vivos, a huge announcement for the kids and the parents who have children who suffer from this condition.
Kirk Huntsman, the CEO of Vivos Therapeutics, VVOS. Go to vivos.com.
Buddy, thanks, man. We'll see you next time. Can't wait to get you in studio. Kirk Huntsman. More of this show coming up.
It is the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. Hope everybody is having a great day. We certainly are. Why? Well, because we're in the midst of the Big Biz Show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we appreciate you being along for the ride. I'm Costa, the one flapping his gums here at the bar. That pretty lady's Mary Bert Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Todorot. And of course, Sully.
You're such a leisure suit, Larry.
Thank you so much.
That pretty little lady at the bar there.
Hey, look at that.
I'll take it.
How are you there?
Going through the change. Well, she keeps on talking about hot flashes today.
Yeah, I may or may not be having hot flashes.
Yeah, she keeps on going.
Because she's next to you, big fella.
Oh, there we go. Still got it.
You're wearing that, what brand shirt is that? Is that a whale on the? Is that a whale on your pocket?
It's a skipjack, and this is Southern Tide. That's skipjack. Skipjack.
Might want to
I thought it was Garanimals.
May want to. You want to skip that shirt altogether next time they come.
Greg, I go in and I match the purple hippopotamus.
That's how it works.
What is the central color for road work? What's the color you see when you see road work?
Orange?
Orange?
Yeah. And use the cones are filthy dirty.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
I called your watch up.
Oh, I know. Well, you said
What is wrong with
wow.
you said you're going to get a band.
I got lots of new bands. Can I tell you this? Is I love when I say I'm going to get some, and then they don't follow up. I'm just supposed to wheelbarrow it in.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to send them an
But I
email.
don't want to
4
bug
times.
you about it.
No, you got to email them.
If you're
and then
offered
text them that
something,
you've emailed
Okay.
them.
Well, you said you were going to get it for me. You didn't follow through. Did you ever ask me?
No,
Again?
I didn't.
Once I offer, that's my job's done. I'm the one offering. My job is done.
You know what's
follow
funny?
up.
You're talking about my watch band, and I just realized I've got this lip fungus thing going on.
Oh, great. Perfect.
And I'm always chewing on the
Ew.
band. So
Are you
that's
really?
the-
Does that band smell like last Thanksgiving stuff?
I will not bring this band in
He
again.
likes to show up casual to Thanksgiving with his shirt undone as well as his pants right after dinner. Did you ever do that? Did you ever do that with the? Did your dad? My dad did it all the time.
Every meal.
No, it was this. It was the
In there and then snap.
It was the hand it was a hand right behind the belt, undone, and just sit there and what?
Yeah,
like,
in
it
a
was,
collective.
yeah. What was that all about? And a Hamm's beer in their hand. Those were the days.
The greatest generation.
You know what Mike calls that? Thursday.
Thursday, of course.
Troy Hazard, of course, is a best-selling author. He's a keynote speaker of some sort, of some note, I should say. Some
sort.
Well, he and I are close to friends where he thought I was serious, and I said that. I actually made a mistake. And, of course, he's been a business partner. He had his own show here on BizTV for a long time, which I think they're going to start airing again.
Sweet.
Of course, I'll get paid, but Troy won't. And there it is. Troy Hazard. When are you coming back to San Diego, man? I haven't seen you in person in so long. We need to get you back in town.
Actually, I'm there in a couple of weeks' time, but I understand you guys are on vacation. So
No, we're not. No, we'll stop. We'll quit. We'll have you come back. Hey, listen, this is so funny. You and I have had this conversation a million times because I can sell ketchup to a woman on her wedding day in that white dress. Okay? And Greg can too. And there is, and not for the purpose of taking advantage, because we know how to sell. Mm-hmm. Do you think we know how to close and sell?
Well, it's good ketchup.
It's good ketchup. But you and I have had this conversation a million times for how we've forgotten how to sell. America has forgotten how to sell. Talk about that.
Well, I think we've got lazy, and particularly through the pandemic, what happened was we didn't know who we could sell to or how we could sell because the whole rules had changed. And so we had to go back to basics of trying to find a way just to survive 3 or 4 years. And I think it might have helped us go back to some of those soft skills that we needed to have or used to have before the digital world came and invaded us. And I think that for now, we're trying to work out how to blend those two places and spaces so that we can make use of the digital world that we've we've learned over the last bunch of years, but still can apply some of that soft skill that is necessary to get the deal done.
I think.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Troy, I know that a lot of people make that mistake of, I'm not really good calling somebody or cold calling. I'll email or I'll text, and that way I'm going to get the sale and close the deal. How many people make that mistake?
Well, they make the mistake that they think that everyone communicates that way. And I'll give you a very simple example. I've had private equity crawling all over me for the last 2 years after we did our deal in 22. But they're all automated emails coming out saying, we've seen the businesses you're involved in and we'd like to help you sell your business. And I'm going, yeah, whatever. And to the extent that I just fire a note back saying, when you're ready to talk to me, not like a robot, I'm happy to have a conversation. But the automated stuff you're sending me has no impact on me whatsoever. I really don't care. And I think that's probably A, laziness, and B, everyone assumes because we're in the digital world that everyone wants to have an email or a text and no one wants to have a human conversation. I'm not that guy. I'm a boomer. I want to talk to you. I want to hear that you care. I want to hear that you understand what I'm trying to achieve. And when you can prove that to me, then we can exchange by email or by phone.
So my question for you is, if you want to sell your business, let's say, and you're talking about private equity here, every time I've seen friends of mine talk about their business, the one thing they're missing is the fact that it's not just about their sales, it's not about their assets. You got to have your ducks in a row also. You have to have your taxes filed. You've got to have your books. You've got to have your financials. And there's also the governance issue. Talk about buttoning up, because I think that's a big piece of it, isn't it, Troy?
Yeah, well, it is. And at the end of the day, it's your ultimate sale. It doesn't matter how many sales you've made to get to a point in place and space where you want to sell your business. This is your ultimate sale. It's the grand final. It's the one and only opportunity for you to cash in on what you've done over the last 10, 15, even 30 or 40 years. So if you had a moment in time where you felt you needed to prepare for a sale, this is it. This is beyond playbooks or beyond a script or beyond having some sort of a strategy. It's about being entirely buttoned up so that when you do apply that strategy, you don't have to keep going back to the drawing board and finding information or finding data to help you complete that sale, because you don't get that chance. You get one shot at selling your business. So it is the ultimate sale at the end of the day.
Talk about how do you once they've determined that your brand is the way to go, how do you augment that during the negotiative process? And then, of course, they're going to ask you, what's your next move? How do you kind of deftly manage through that? Because that's a big piece of this. And this is all about step one, right?
Well, it's step one for a lot of owners is to let go of their brand. If it's been, Tom's Brewery or Sally's Nail House or whatever, and the suitor, the buyer, is looking for an aggregation play where they're rolling it into a bigger picture, or it's a merge and acquisition of a number of different businesses around the country, oftentimes that brand is going to disappear. Now, to an owner, just get over it. If this is your payday, if your name doesn't transfer with that transaction, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, they are looking for what you've created in way of your customer service, your engagement, your products, your services, things that are unique to you, not necessarily that are unique to your brand. So if you're being swallowed up in a bigger play, that's fine. At the end of the day, that's where you're going to get the better multiple and the better enterprise value for your business. If you just sit there and say, I'm not that egotistical, I'm not that wed to it, that it has to come with me or has to go with the transaction, you guys do what you want after I'm gone, because I'm at the beach.
There you go.
If we're okay with that, we're all good.
Keynote speaker extraordinaire, great friend of the show, Troy Hazard. Check him out.
Businessman, board member, author of The Naked Entrepreneur and Future-Proofing Your Business. And you should see him swill beer.
Oh, can he put it away?
He's an Aussie. What are you talking about?